Chapter 1 The Worm of Time. You are listening at novelfull.audio. An out-of-control mud truck rushed to the side of the road, and the tires made a harsh friction sound with the ground. The young man who was playing with his mobile phone took his eyes away from the screen and looked up in the direction of the sound. Looking at the huge monster rushing towards him, he opened his mouth slightly, and his eyes were full of fear. Bang! That the world fell into darkness. Amon rubbed his head, looking a little confused. Soon, this confusion turned into a sudden realization. He traveled through time, twice in a row, but I was obviously the one driving. Why was it me? The first time he traveled through time and became an incarnation of the twin gods Amon, and became a part of Amon. It was not a simple replacement, but a fusion. With the memory and personality of the traveler as the main guide, he merged the fate of the incarnation of Amon. He forgot his past name and only knew that he was Amon. The traveler Amon did not stay in the mysterious world for long, just 2 seconds, because the time and place he traveled through were not very friendly. As soon as he opened his eyes, he saw a vague figure. This figure was wearing a layered but simple black dress, dotted with countless stars. He was as huge as a mountain, with a pair of arms covered with dark black short hair between his ribs and waist, but he had a beautiful and gentle face covered with a thin black veil. He was majestic, beautiful, mysterious, and gave people a fear that went deep into the soul, the goddess of night. As soon as he crossed over, he was in the center of the battlefield where the goddess of night and the twin gods Amon fought in the Hinachus Mountains. A long scythe passed by, and then, nothing happened. The memory of the mysterious world ended here. The traverser Amon realized what had happened. He was deliberately sent to the goddess attack by the body of the mysterious Amon. No wonder Amon's body made such a choice. The consciousness revived in someone else's body. This was the method of the old days. The mysterious Amon mistakenly thought he was the consciousness of the Tianzuan who had revived, and he had no extra energy to verify it in the battle of gods. That was the critical moment when he and Klein competed for the position of Lord of the Mysteries, so he was sent to the most dangerous and chaotic place on the battlefield, using the simplest and crudest method to temporarily eliminate this potential danger. He didn't even dare to steal the idea of this abnormal clone and make more attempts. It is estimated that for a moment, he was also scared. The time traveler Amon pinched his right eye socket and sorted out the memories in his mind. The memory of the time traveler is the main body, and Amon's memory is not much, only about the use of extraordinary power. In addition, there are fragmentary memory fragments of the body he now occupies: Soul Master, Soul Beast, Spirit Hull, Tiendo Empire. This is the world of Douluo continent. This body is currently 12 years old and is a 13th level Soul Master. He lives in Shenzhen village near Shuangye city in the northern province of Tiendo Empire. The spirit was originally a fat and plump green worm. After Amon's soul settled in, the spirit changed and became a translucent worm with 12 rings and star-like colors. This is the time worm with the characteristics of the star worm. The original owner was a lucky guy. Although he was only level 13 and was just a civilian soul master, he had a 100-year soul ring and an external soul bone. The soul ring came from a 200-year-old thief monkey. The soul skill was to hide the external performance of his own soul ring, so that there would be no light and shadow effects when it was activated, and there would be no soul power fluctuations. After the martial soul mutated, the soul skill also changed a little, similar to the ability brought by the Bug Path Sequence 9 Thief. The changed soul skill brought him on a permanent passive effect and an active effect. Permanent passive effect: slightly improve agility, control of one's own body, and soul power control, and then increase synchronously with the increase of soul power level. When actively activated, it can steal the expressiveness of one's own martial soul, soul ring, and soul skill, making the martial soul and soul ring imperceptible, and the soul skill will only be noticed by others after leaving the body. The expressiveness is stored in the soul ring and returned to oneself at the right time, which can create a huge effect and intimidate the opponent. Heh, it's quite fitting. Amon chuckled. Douluo's spirit ring system corresponds exactly to the 9 sequences of the mysterious potion. Amon thinks that the abilities of each stage of the potion system can be used as a reference for obtaining spirit rings in the future. This body has very few memories left, mostly information about the village. Amon can learn little about the outside world through these memory fragments, but the spirit hall still exists. which means that the timeline is still in the first part of Douluo continent. He feels that he needs to confirm what time point it is now. This is very important and is related to his future position. The creaking sound of the door opening interrupted Amon's thinking. He was a little confused. Who would come to visit the original owner at this time? It's just dawn now. Just as he was about to go downstairs to take a look, he stopped again. No, breaking into someone else's house without knocking on the door or the owner's consent is obviously not a friendly gesture. Amon felt the weakness coming from his body and his face became ugly. The original owner died last night. He drank water that had been left for a day before he died, and lost his life in cramps in his abdomen, and the next day after his death, someone broke into the house without knocking early in the morning. All signs indicate that the original owner's death was not an accident. Realizing this, Amon dared not move anymore, and even breathed more lightly, fearing to disturb the uninvited guests below. Perhaps it was the sequelae of death and resurrection. His current state was very bad. His soul power was only 1/10 of it, and his body was so weak that he couldn't even clench his fists. Relying on the control of his body brought by the first soul ring, he walked to the stairs without making any sound, leaned down, and peeked at the first floor through the gap in the stairs. I saw a hunchbacked old man holding a long-handled fork, tiptoeing into the house. He was wearing a brown linen shirt, and his blue pants didn't fit well, only covering half of his calf. There was a hole in the tip of his right shoe, revealing 2 toes. He had sparse hair, brown spots on his face, loose skin piled up grooves on his face, and a tumor on his chin, which looked hideous in the dim light. Amon recognized at a glance that this was the street urchin that everyone in the village hated, Old Quinn. It is said that he was born with half-level soul power, which can be regarded as a little soul master talent. But his family did not support his cultivation due to financial conditions, so Quinn was only a 6th-level soul master at his age. The original owner had little interaction with Old Quinn. The most recent communication was that Old Quinn wanted to borrow money from him, but was rejected. Lack of money, poor character, and breaking into the house at such a delicate time. Amon felt that the matter was obvious. There was only one truth: the murderer who caused the original owner's death was Old Quinn. The original owner had more than a dozen gold coins, some of which were the inheritance left by his father, and some of which he earned himself. For most villagers in Shenzhen village, more than a dozen gold coins are a large sum of money, and few families can save this amount. Amon guessed that it was probably because Old Quinn got greedy and came to his house to steal while the original owner was away, but he didn't find anything. He guessed that he carried the coins with him, so he poisoned the water. After waiting for a night, he came to collect his spoils early the next morning. Old Quinn's soul power was not high, and he was old and weak. His overall strength was equivalent to that of an ordinary middle-aged man without soul power. If Amon was in good condition, he would certainly not be afraid, even if his martial soul was not the type that was good at frontal combat, even if he was only level 13. The advantage of a soul master over an ordinary person was almost overwhelming. Unfortunately, there was no if. The current Old Quinn was indeed a big threat to Amon. Chapter 2: Frost Leaf City. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Old Quinn's cloudy eyes carefully scanned every corner of the first floor. He saw no one and no body, so he turned his eyes to the second floor. Amon! Amon! He called softly, pretending to be looking for someone. There was no response, only his hoarse voice echoed in the room, like an evil ghost from the underworld urging him to die. Old Quinn walked up the stairs slowly, and just when he was halfway up, a chair flew down from above. His face changed, and he threw it away with his left hand. Amon jumped up, holding a stick in his hand, which was the only weapon he could find temporarily. Old Quinn mobilized his soul power and stabbed the fork upward fiercely. Amon swung the stick and hit the tip of the fork, blocking it. With the power of jumping from above, he pounced on Old Quinn. The two slid down the stairs together. Old Quinn was below, bearing most of the impact of landing, and Amon rolled along with the momentum and took the fork from the other party at the same time. Ah, my leg! Old Quinn screamed and wailed while holding his left leg. What are you doing? I just came to borrow money from you. I just came to borrow money from you. Really? Amon calmed down his panting caused by the intense exercise. The movements just now had consumed most of his remaining physical strength. he picked up the kettle on the table beside him, poured a glass of water, and placed it on the ground a few steps away from old Quinn. "Then I'm sorry, please drink a glass of water to calm your nerves." Old Quinn looked at Amon in fear, and saw that he had raised his fork, looking like he would die if he didn't drink it, and began to cry and beg for mercy. "Don't kill me, I was wrong. I was really wrong. Please." Seeing that he was unwilling to drink water, Amon confirmed his guess and stabbed him in the neck. Old Quinn's emotions stabilized. Amon walked to the water tank, scooped water with a ladle to wash off the blood splashed on his body, and washed his hands again and again. The faint stench from the fork made him realize that it was a dung fork that had just been used. Fortunately, he was not stabbed, otherwise, even if it was just a small cut, it would leave a shadow in his heart. Amon changed into a clean set of clothes, found a dagger for cutting meat from the cupboard, and put it on his waist. He was ready to leave for Frostleaf City. First, he could get better information in the city and have more room for development. Second, if he killed old Quinn, he would definitely have a lot of trouble staying in Shenzhen village. He was not interested in wasting time arguing with the family of the old gangster. At the entrance of the village, Amon met a young man carrying a bamboo basket on his back. He was wearing a coat made of tan deerskin. Demeter, the son of a hunter in the village, was enthusiastic and cheerful. Such information automatically popped up in his mind. Demeter also saw Amon. He waved and said with a smile, "Hey, Amon, are you going to the city? Are you going too?" Amon looked at him with some surprise. Although Shenzhen village is not far from Frostleaf City, the villagers rarely go to the city unless necessary. "Well, yes. My father killed a wild boar and asked me to sell it. In addition, the salt and matches at home are almost used up, so I have to buy some back." Demeter pointed his thumb at the bamboo basket behind him, which contained half a slaughtered wild boar. "Then let's go together. It's just right that you, the Soul Master, are with us, so it's safer on the road." He smiled a little honestly and touched the hatchet on his waist unconsciously. There is an empty wilderness between Frostleaf City and Shenzhen village. Occasionally, ordinary wild animals such as wolves and wild boars appear on the road, which is a little dangerous. Amon is not in good condition now, so he is naturally willing to go with others. He raised his hand and took out a pair of crystal-like monocles from the void and put them on his right eye. This is the ability of his external soul bone, which can materialize soul power and turn invisible soul power into real matter. The skill itself does not consume any energy, but it only gives soul power a special property. This soul bone is very special. It is not attached to the body, but to the martial soul. Although it does not directly bring powerful lethality, Amon can freely convert soul power into liquid or solid transparent substances. The materialized soul power has a certain hardness and can reduce the impact of external forces. The hardness and impact absorption effect are proportional to the total amount of soul power he invests, a very good auxiliary ability. This is how Amon evaluated this soul bone skill. Of course, what makes him most satisfied is that it can generate monocles anytime and anywhere. Although he is dominated by the personality and memory of the Traverser, after integrating Amon's clone, he has also been infected with some of Amon's habits, such as feeling very awkward if he does not wear a monocle on his right eye. Not long after, Frostleaf City appeared in the sight of the two. This is a small town, but it is the most prosperous place in this area. The northern province is close to the far north. Due to the harsh natural climate, the land is vast and sparsely populated. Frostleaf City is located in the northern part of the northern province, which is even more so. The other nearest cities are also hundreds of miles away. Stop. The guards at the city gate stopped the two people. Adults pay 1 copper coin to enter the city. If the goods exceed 50 kilograms, you need to pay an additional one. He glanced at Amon and added, "Children can enter the city for free." Demeter hung the bamboo basket on the weighing bar, without pressing the weight of the weight, and threw a copper coin into the iron coin box with ease. The guard nodded and waved his hand, indicating that the two could go in. After entering the city, Amon asked, "Do you know where I can find a job in the city?" "Looking for a job? Aren't you going back to the village?" "Well, I want to see, there should be more possibilities in the city." Dmitri held his chin and thought for a while, and said, when I came here a few days ago, I saw that the Icewind Junior Soul Master Academy was recruiting assistants. Maybe you can try it. Thank you for your information. Amon nodded. After the two parted, Amon asked for directions again and walked towards the academy. When he walked to a corner, a child with long red hair suddenly rushed out and hit him hard, and he fell backwards under the reaction of this force. Sorry. She quickly got up, apologized, and hurried away. Amon pinched his monocle, looked at her back as she went away, and said, "Tsk. Interesting." 10 minutes later, he arrived at his destination. Two guards with iron bars hanging around their waists stood at the door, leaning against the pillars on both sides, listless. One of them yawned, glanced at Amon who was approaching, and muttered in confusion, "Child. I haven't seen him before, he shouldn't be a student here." "Hello, is this Bingfeng Junior Soul Master Academy? Are you still recruiting assistants?" Amon asked. "Are you a soul master?" The guard quickly turned his back away from the pillar and said with a hint of respect. "Yes, I heard that they are recruiting assistants here, so I came to give it a try. Please follow me, I will take you to see the dean, and he will handle all personnel matters personally." Led by the guard, Amon came to a 2-story stone building, walked upstairs, turned right, and came to the dean's office. The guard knocked on the door. "Come in." The dean, Shi Guantao, was an old man who looked to be in his 60s or 70s, with white hair, a long beard on his chin, not deep wrinkles on his face, and a pair of bright eyes. "Dean Shi, this gentleman is here to apply for the position of assistant teacher." After saying that, the guard left the office consciously. Shi Guantao nodded and looked at Amon. Looking at this half-grown child, he hesitated for a moment and asked, "Please introduce yourself." "My name is Amon, a level 13 auxiliary soul master, and I have a lot of experience in close combat." Amon briefly introduced himself. "How old are you this year?" "Well, 12 years old." "Let your martial soul out for us to see." Amon followed suit and stretched out his right hand. With the flash of gray light, a translucent worm with 12 rings and star-like colors kept swimming in his palm. At the same time, a yellow soul ring slowly emerged, emitting a faint glow. 100-year soul ring. At your age, you should be able to go to the Intermediate Soul Master Academy for further studies, right? Shi Guantao asked with some doubts. There are always some unsatisfactory things in life, and there are all kinds of helplessness. Amon shrugged, the corners of his mouth slightly back, pulling out a smile. In Shi Guantao's opinion, this smile was bitter. He nodded and said, "The salary of an assistant teacher is not high, 5 gold soul coins per month, food and accommodation are provided, and there is a 1-week trial period. Of course, if the performance is good, the salary can be appropriately increased." Amon asked in surprise, "Is that all? I thought there would be some assessment." After hearing this, Shi Guantao laughed, "It's not that complicated. The work of an assistant teacher is not difficult. There will be formal school teachers to guide you. And you only need to teach some low-grade students, which any soul master can do. Any soul master can do it." This sentence sounds simple, but in fact the threshold is not low. Because the condition of soul master alone screens out more than 90% of ordinary people. "Do you have a place to live?" Shi Guantao asked. "No, I just came from the village today. I'll take you to the staff dormitory." After allocating the accommodation, Shi Guantao handed Amon a card with the college emblem printed on it. "This is a certificate of faculty and staff. With this card, you can enjoy many conveniences in the college." It was almost evening, and Amon was going to buy some suitable clothes and taste the local specialties. He subconsciously touched his chest and remembered that the lovely gold soul coins had left him. Recalling the scene of colliding with the red-haired child on the road, he raised his right hand to adjust his monocle and whispered to himself. "Interesting, I was robbed." Chapter 3: The Power of the Martial Soul. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. The body that Amon traveled through was already in a weak state after resurrection, and he immediately fought with others and then hurried on his way. His condition had dropped to the lowest point, he didn't want to conflict with others at this time. What he needed most now was rest and recovery. Moreover, these thieves, beggars, and gangsters in the city often survive in groups. Catching one might cause a group of them, however, although I have been kicked out of the group chat by Amon in the mysterious world, and although the majority of people are travelers, I am Amon after all. When have I ever suffered such grievances? The next time I see that thief, I must let her see what a thief is. Amon smiled and shook his head, and went to the cafeteria with his employee card to receive a free meal. After a simple dinner, he went to the library. The library of Bingfeng Junior Soul Master Academy does not have a rich collection, with only 3 bookshelves of books, which is naturally incomparable to the vast amount of books in the library before the travel. Considering that the time of DouluoDalu I is considered ancient in the Douluo series, the collection of books in these 3 bookshelves is already quite impressive. Amon borrowed a book Tiendo Historical Chronicles, registered with the administrator, and returned to his dormitory. He did not read it immediately, but began to study the martial soul, in the composition of the combat power of the soul master. In addition to the soul skills, the characteristics of the martial soul itself are also a part that cannot be ignored. Some martial souls have special abilities. The time worm is obviously also a kind of martial soul with special abilities. Amon urged the soul power, and a translucent worm with 12 rings and star-colored spots appeared in his palm. With the injection of soul power, the time worm emitted a gray glimmer. The light became brighter and brighter, and a more illusory, almost transparent shadow separated from the original time worm martial soul, and then gradually condensed and turned into a new time worm. Amon's soul power also dropped from the original level 13 to level 12. This is a substantial reduction in soul power, which can only be upgraded through cultivation, rather than ordinary soul power consumption. At the same time, a sense of weakness came from the depths of the soul. Amon felt that his senses were much duller, and the efficiency of absorbing surrounding energy became lower. This is the special ability of the time worm martial soul, splitting. The split time worm can exist in the state of a martial soul, and can also condense the body and exist in the form of a human. They can practice and upgrade themselves, but the highest level cannot exceed 10 levels less than the original body. Splitting will not only reduce the soul power level, but also weaken the soul, reducing the cultivation speed of the original body. The degree of decline is related to the proportion of the soul of the split time worm. The resulting soul weakening is recoverable, and the soul of the split time avatar will gradually be supplemented. In other words, the cultivation talents of the original body and the clone will gradually increase over time, until they are finally restored to the talents that the original body should have when it is not split, but it takes a long time. The clones can also be aggregated to form a time clone with a more complete soul and higher soul power level. This still needs to comply with the limit that the clone cannot exceed the level of the main body -10. The main body can replenish the soul and recover from injuries by absorbing the clone, but it cannot directly increase the soul power level. Amon is not very clear about the original owner's talent. He estimates that after crossing over, his talent should be innate full soul power. Only such a talent can match such a powerful martial soul as the time worm. Amon did not study for too long, because he had to teach the next day. He needed this job now and had to take it seriously. Being a teacher assistant in the college can borrow books to accumulate knowledge. The work is easy and does not delay cultivation. Early the next morning, he came to the office of the grade director. "Hello, Director Liu, I am the new assistant teacher Amon. Please give me more advice in the future." Grade Director Liu Wensong is a middle-aged man with half a bald head. He wears a loose robe and has the temperament of a teacher in the Republic of China. "Yeah." Liu Wensong nodded and whispered, "I heard that you are good at close combat." "I can only say that I have some experience." Amon answered modestly, "As we all know, an excellent thief and fortune teller is often a good user of daggers and short swords, and can be a skilled assassin. There are not many courses in our Junior Soul Master Academy. The main purpose is to teach children some common sense about the Soul Master world. Of course, as a Soul Master, fighting is also indispensable. Since you have expertise in this area, you can try to teach them. It is always good to learn more. Usually, I will prepare the textbooks for the courses for you. You just need to follow the steps. What you need to learn in the lower grades is very simple. Try to teach a second-grade class today. I will observe. If the effect is good, maybe the academy can add a special combat teaching. This will also give you the opportunity to become a formal teacher and get better treatment. Amon nodded, I will try my best. On the school playground, more than 20 children gathered together and chattered. I heard there's a new teacher today. Very young, I saw him after school yesterday, he's only a few years older than us, and looks like the seniors. Is he a handsome guy? A girl with a ponytail asked with curiosity. Humph, definitely not as handsome as me. A cool boy said unhappily, his attention was focused on the girl with the ponytail, and he couldn't help but feel a little frustrated when he found that the other girl didn't pay attention to him at all. Is he similar to the senior class? Then I hope he is a bit real and not just a fool. A red-haired girl said coldly, but soon, her expression changed, and she looked at Amon and Lu Wen-song who were walking towards them. She silently retreated to the back of the crowd, shrank her body, and tried to reduce her presence. Walking up to the children, Amon introduced himself with a smile. Hello, classmates. I am the new assistant teacher Amon, and I am honored to be here to impart knowledge to you. I believe everyone is troubled by boring classes. Today, we are going to do something different. As a soul master, you cannot avoid encountering various battles. Although powerful soul skills are an important guarantee in battle, the outcome of the battle does not only depend on the strength of the soul skills. Some fighting skills, it can often have unexpected effects, especially at the low-level soul master stage. Although I really hope that everyone can become a powerful soul master in the future, the reality is that most people are often unable to reach that level. Therefore, learning the skills of close combat can benefit many people throughout their lives. Hearing what he said, there was a loud murmur from the crowd. I won't stop at the low level. I will definitely become a Contra in the future. Who wants to learn something useless? Close combat? Isn't that something ordinary people use in fights? Yes, we are noble soul masters. Hearing the children's discussion, Amon just looked on with a smile. Who didn't have a big dream when they were young? The reality in the future will tell them that most of them will not be able to break through soul master in their lifetime. However, it seems to be of some use. Doesn't Yan Jin always rely on his fists to beat people? Well, that's true. She can beat senior students with her fists. Can we be that good after we learn? They were discussing and looking somewhere. Several different voices changed the children's views, which surprised Amon. He pinched his monocle and looked towards the back of the crowd. That's where the children frequently cast their gaze. Yan Jin, who was behind the crowd, felt the eyes of her classmates, and her expression became increasingly ugly. She now wished she could pretend to be an ostrich and bury her head. When Amon's eyes followed the eyes of others and focused here, her face froze and her heart seemed to skip a few beats. It seems that the students also have their own opinions on this, some are against it and some are in favor. So, how about let's put it into practice? The truth always needs practice to verify. Amon said with a chuckle. Is there any classmate who would volunteer to practice with me? Brush. Everyone looked at the red-haired girl at the back of the crowd and consciously made way for her. Obviously, in their minds, this red-haired girl seemed to be equated with words such as fighting and violence, and they took it for granted that she would come forward at such a time. But Yan Jin just wants to say that he is really not brave at all now. She closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and gave Amon an awkward yet polite smile. Hello, hello. Amon's eyes became a little dangerous, and he said with a smile. No, I'm not good. We meet again, classmate. Chapter 4. This classmate, you don't want. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. To either, Amon looked at Yan Jin. This was a girl who looked very heroic and gave people the feeling of a tomboy. She has fiery red hair and wears simple but clean clothes. This was the thief who stole his wallet. Amon suddenly felt like he had encountered 008. From when he traveled to Douluo and fought with Old Quinn in Life and Death, he left the village to avoid trouble. His wallet was stolen because of his poor condition, and now he meets him again. Thief, everything is too coincidental, it's like something is urging the development of the plot, but the poor writer can't control it, making it seem a little unnatural, and then, forcing it to be reasonable, however. This is Douluo's world and there is number 008, so it should really be just a coincidence. Amon adjusted his monocle and looked at Yen Jin with a somewhat scrupulous look. Yeah, what a coincidence, what a coincidence. Yen Jin was thinking frantically about countermeasures, but after much deliberation, there was no better way, so he seemed to have no choice but to admit defeat. She said with a bit of flattery, I completely agree with the teacher's point of view. After saying that, she turned to look at her classmates and said coldly, which one of you has an opinion? She didn't know whether her classmates had any objections to Amon's views. She only knew that she had a lot of objections to her classmates now. If these guys hadn't looked at her frequently, she wouldn't have been noticed so quickly. She might have been able to get through this class and have more time to think about countermeasures, instead of being caught off guard like she was now. Under her knife-sharp eyes, the other children turned their heads one by one, not daring to look at her. Yen Jin stepped forward, came to the opposite side of Amon, and asked, how to practice? Do it directly. Okay. Amon nodded. Yen Jin thought about it for 2 seconds, hesitating whether to show off or take action. She was confident in her fighting power. Even if she only relies on her fists and no martial arts, she can beat up most of the seniors in the school. Finally she decided to fight. Hit him hard. If you can win the fight cleanly, firstly, it will show your strength and create a shock, and secondly, it will create a conflict. In this way, even if the other party reveals that he stole his money, others may misunderstand that he is deliberately framed because he is embarrassed. In addition, the aggressive side of her character also prompted her to make such a judgment. Yen Jin no longer hesitated and rushed forward with a sudden kick. Amon noticed that her right foot left a deep shoe print on the ground, and she used her soul power. Oh, gathering the soul power into the feet and then exploding it to gain faster speed is already the prototype of self-created soul skills. Amon blocked her fist with his right hand and commented with ease, you are very talented in fighting. Yen Jin looked serious. He held Amon's wrist with his backhand and used it as a fulcrum. He twisted his waist hard and kicked him in the head with a roundhouse kick. After Amon easily blocked it with his other hand, he shook her away with his right hand. After Dang 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 took several steps back, Yen Jin stabilized his figure and looked at Amon solemnly. The opponent was much stronger than the idiot seniors in the school. Although his age and body shape looked similar to those of the 5th and 6th graders, and his soul power was not that strong, the pressure he brought during the fight was completely different. The moves of the two looked very simple, but they were very fast, especially Yen Jin's punches and kicks, which were all aimed at the vital points. If they didn't react, they could cause serious damage in an instant. Looking at Amon's smiling face, Yen Jin gritted his teeth and rushed forward again. This time she punched the latter in the face first, then changed her stance midway and hit him in the abdomen with an elbow. Amon still accurately blocked the incoming elbow with his right palm, but as soon as it came into contact, he frowned, and the impact caused by an explosion of soul power made his entire arm feel numb. He took a step back to slow the impact and counterattacked for the first time. While moving backwards, he exerted force in an extremely unreasonable posture and whipped his leg towards the opponent. This move was beyond Yen Jin's expectation. She couldn't dodge it, so she had to twist her body and try her best to resist with her thick body. Amon's whip leg looked fierce and powerful, and even made a whistling sound, but when it actually fell on her body, she found that it didn't hurt at all, and there was only a gentle force pushing her body farther away. Yen Jin rolled on the ground a few times and then bounced up. He patted his clothes and said simply, I lost. Lu Wensong clapped his hands lightly and praised, very good, a very exciting battle. He recognized Amon's performance. In fact, there are also students in the school who have obtained soul rings and whose soul power has reached level 12 or 3, but they only have empty levels and no fighting ability. You guys let me see the role of fighting skills in the battle of low-level soul masters. There were many response moves just now that even my eyes lit up. I'll leave this to you, I still have things to deal with. Go and do your work, I will guide them well. Amon responded. After Lu Wensong left, the students gathered around him one by one. wow, teacher, you are so awesome. You can actually deal with the big sister so easily. Teacher, after we learn your skills, can we be so good? Can you also defeat the elder sister? The kid who said this obviously didn't notice Yan Jin's face getting darker and darker behind him. The other smart people moved a few steps away from him without leaving a trace. Yan Jin gently hooked his arm around his neck from behind and whispered, "Who do you want to defeat?" Big sister." The fat boy who said the wrong thing turned his head mechanically, and then screamed, "Ah! Gently, I was wrong. I can't breathe. Teacher, do you have a girlfriend?" A bold girl with 2 buns came close. Amon pulled the corner of his mouth and took a step back, thinking that it really deserves to be a place called the Love Continent. Even such a young child knows so much. Okay, classmates, please keep order. Although it is outdoors, this is a classroom. Please respect classroom discipline. In addition, if you want to learn fighting well, a healthy body is essential. Let's run 10 laps around the playground to warm up. Alas, run 10 laps. Warm up. Amon's instructions made more than 20 people sigh. The children started running around the playground one by one, leaving only Yan Jin and Amon in place. Yan Jin opened his mouth, but saw Amon put his index finger on his lips, making a gesture to keep quiet. "If you have anything to say, come to me after class. It's class time now. Don't be absent, Yan Jin, you don't want to." Amon's mouth curled up a smile. Yan Jin frowned, looked bitter, and chased after her classmates. Amon watched with interest as the group of little rascals ran around the playground again and again, panting like puppies. Only Yan Jin kept his speed, running from the last to the first, and then left the slower people behind for several laps. "Teacher, can you run a few less laps? Isn't this too much?" A girl was walking as she passed by Amon. "Is it too demanding?" "Don't think so. Look at Yan Jin, she has finished running without blushing or panting." Don't compare us with this freak. She is abnormal." Chapter 5, Things That the Thief Stole. You are listening at MaleProtagonist. There is a small lake in the center of the academy. Amon sat on a blue stone by the lake, looking at the lake leisurely. The breeze was gentle, the water was rippling, and a few fat ducks were playing in the water. "Amon, give me back my things." Yan Jin came to him angrily, with a cold face. "Huh? Are you talking about this?" Amon tossed the purse and looked at her with a smile. "Why do I remember that this is my purse?" The gold soul coins collided, making a pleasant dingling sound. This was what Amon took from the opponent during the fighting teaching just now. "Only part of it is yours, and some of it is earned by me stealing, earned with great effort. Give it back to me." Yan Jin said fiercely. "That's not okay. I earned it with my own ability. Why should I give it back?" "Asshole, what do you want? Stealing is a bad habit." Amon shook his head and taught, "You are more skilled than me." Yan Jin opened his mouth and refuted silently. Instead of trying to solve the problem with words, a hint of ferocity flashed in her eyes, and she whispered, "Then let's solve it with fists." Yan Jin suddenly attacked, a red light emerged, and a ball of hot magma appeared in her palm. Even if the spirit ring has not been attached, even if she can't control it freely, just simply reveal it, but just relying on its own characteristics, this martial soul has shown extremely strong destructive power. Magma. Amon raised his hand with a little solemnity to greet it. He activated the spirit bone ability and turned the spirit power into a protective film covering his hand. In order to resist the high temperature, he injected a lot of spirit power, so that the materialized spirit power that should have been transparent was light gray. "Are you crazy?" Yan Jin just wanted to scare him, and had no intention of hurting anyone. Originally, she planned to take back the martial soul at the end, but Amon raised his hand to greet it, which caught her off guard, so that she had no time to avoid it, and the two came into contact. She was surprised to find that the white palm grabbed her martial soul like grabbing an ordinary stone. "What? You can ignore the high temperature of magma. how did you do it? Yan Jin's pupils shrank, and he said in disbelief. Amon did not answer, with a smile on his face. In fact, he was not at ease. Although the materialization of soul power itself would not bring much consumption, the magma was constantly consuming his soul power, so he needed to continuously output it to keep the protective film from being burned through. Yan Jin retracted her martial soul, her eyes gradually became solemn, and she suddenly slid down and hugged Amon's calf. Teacher, please accept me as your apprentice. Amon's expression stagnated. Although he wanted to teach her a lesson, he did not intend to go too far. After all, she was just a child, and he only intended to tease her a little. The other party's reaction was beyond his expectations. You said you wanted me to accept you as your apprentice, so you didn't intend to let me teach you. Yeah, that's right, please teach me how to put other people's wealth into your pocket without leaving a trace. She clasped her hands together and said with a serious expression. I'm a teacher in the school, not a pickpocket on the street. Do you think I can teach this? I'm a student in the school. Why can't I learn the skills of the teacher? Tell me about yourself. My name is Yan Jin. I'm 7 years old this year. I'm a level 9 soul master. My martial soul is magma, and my innate soul power is level 8. I have 8 younger brothers under me. People I know on the road call me Little Chu Shuai. She patted her chest proudly, and seemed to be very satisfied with her nickname. Chu Shuai is a respectful title given by the hired labor groups in the city to people with high prestige within the group. It probably means the same as the leader or the boss. In addition, some criminal gangs also call their leaders Chu Shuai. Amon thought she was probably the leader of a small theft gang. Why do you do this kind of business? There are also work-study programs in the school. With your talent, you should be able to cultivate to the level of a soul master soon. At that time, you can go to the Wuhuan Hall to receive a subsidy of a gold soul coin every month. Although you can't have big fish and meat, it is enough for daily living expenses. He asked with some suspicion. Well, this. I think it's not bad now. Yan Jin's eyes were a little vague. With your talent, no one wants to take you as a disciple. An old man from the spirit hall asked me, but there are always all kinds of helplessness in life. For some reasons, I refused. I have reasons to stay in Frostleaf City. It's up to you. You choose your own path. As long as you don't regret it in the future. Amon took out his share from his wallet and threw the rest to her. Thank you, teacher. Yan Jin accepted it with surprise. She thought she would not come back. As for taking you as a disciple, let me verify some things first. Amon pinched his monocle. After leaving, Amon found Lu Wensong and asked him about Yan Jin. Director Lu, Yan Jin is a very talented person, so she should be a popular talent, right? Has no one thought of training her? Lu Wensong shook his head and replied, she has a magma spirit and is at the 8th level of innate, so she is a rare talent that only appears once every 10 years. But she once rejected a big shot in the spirit hall, and it seems that she angered him. So no one mentioned taking her in as a disciple for a while. Originally, the dean had this plan. He wanted to wait for a year or two, when the people in the spirit hall had forgotten about it, and then ask her. But the child always dealt with gangsters on the street and did many illegal things. We turned a blind eye to her behavior, but no one was optimistic about her anymore. There was a trace of regret in his tone. Is that so? Amon nodded in understanding. Can you tell me about the spirit hall? I'm quite curious about the first soul master organization on the continent. The spirit hall. Lu Wensong's face showed a trace of complexity. They are indeed the hope of civilian soul masters, and have made a lot of contributions to the development of soul masters on the continent. But with the gradual expansion of their power, they have gradually become a major destabilizing factor in the empire. As he spoke, he suddenly stopped, realizing that he had spoken out of turn, and some ideas should not be expressed too blatantly. Amon seemed to be unaware inside, His Majesty the Pope must be a very powerful spirit master. Of course, a weak person is not qualified to lead the spirit hall. Who is the current pope? I heard my father mention it, but I can't remember clearly. It seems to be His Highness Cangqiong. That was 6 years ago. The current pope is His Highness Bibi Dong, the disciple of His Highness Cangqiong. 6 years ago? Yes, the position of pope changed 6 years ago. It is said that many major events happened at that time. Lu Wensong suddenly laughed. Why? Are you interested in Yan Jin, the troublemaker? If you want to ask me who in the spirit hall she offended, I can only say that I don't know. Amon smiled and shook his head. 6 years. Then Tang San is about 6 years old, and the plot has just begun. There is still plenty of time. He thought in his heart. Chapter 6 Invitation. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Half a month has passed since he came to Douluo world, and Amon has gradually become familiar with the rules of Frostleaf City. This is a backward and barbaric city. The Nords are the main ethnic group in the northern province. They are rude and aggressive, and often fight over a disagreement, just like a group of human honey badgers. Perhaps it is because most Nords are stubborn, and the proportion of soul masters among them is very low. Yan Jin can be regarded as a typical representative of Nord soul masters. She has fought with more than half of the students in the school. Fuck. Who are you scolding? That the two drunkards accidentally bumped into each other, and then a fight broke out. One picked up a stone, and the other picked up a stick. They developed from pushing and shoving with bare hands to fighting with weapons. The pedestrians on the side were not surprised at all, and some even watched the show with relish. Well, this punch is really good, with great force and tricky angles. Someone applauded. A patrolling guard passed by and yelled, "Didn't I say that we can't fight on the street? If you want to fight, find an empty alley to solve it by yourselves. No one will care even if you use knives." Amon glanced at the guard. This was already considered to be faithful to his duty. Most people turned a blind eye. He came to a clothing store. A man wearing a khaki robe and a semicircular felt hat came out with a smile. "Hello, customer. Oh, it's you. The clothes you ordered here are ready." The store manager was very impressed with Amon, a big customer. Few people in Frostleaf City were willing to pay a gold soul coin to order a flashy and thin robe. After all, the climate in the Northland province is cold. Ordinary people can only wear such robes on the hottest days of the year. Even soul masters with strong physiques prefer to wear those fleece clothes. Amon put on the customized clothes and stood in front of the full-length mirror to look at himself. Black eyes, black hair, wide forehead, thin lips, thin face, pointed wide-brimmed soft hat, black classical robe, and black leather boots. He exudes a light bookish air and a bit of wizard-like mystery. "Customer, are you satisfied?" "Not bad." Amon handed the balance of 3 gold soul coins to the store manager, picked up the remaining clothes in the bag, and walked out of the clothing store. He touched the remaining 6 gold soul coins in his pocket and said to himself, "Maybe I should find a way to make some money." Putting the clothes back to the staff dormitory, he walked to the west of the city. This is the most chaotic street in Frostleaf City. Dirty alleys, dilapidated houses, complicated roads, idle hooligans, and hungry refugees, all kinds of reasons intertwined, making this place a breeding ground for sin. Thin man with a pointed face and monkey cheeks looked at the clothes on Amon with greedy eyes. His Adam's apple rolled up and down. He finally made a decision and tiptoed closer. Amon noticed his movements with his peripheral vision, but ignored them. He just thought in his heart whether he should cut his throat or pierce his heart if the other party wanted to harm him. To his surprise, the man did not attack and hurt people. Instead, he bowed his head and said, "My lord, what can I do for you?" Amon was silent for a while, and said softly, "Is Yan Jin a guy who lives in this area? Do you know the specific location?" Xiao Tsushui. "I know, my lord." He rubbed his palms. Amon understood and threw him 2 copper coins. "Please follow me." After walking through several alleys, he came to a stone house that looked relatively intact. "It's here." Amon threw 2 more copper coins to the skinny man, sent him away, and stepped forward to knock on the door. "Who is it?" The door opened a crack, and a little head looked out from behind the crack. There was a chain on the door connecting the door frame, and the position where the little head was sticking out was also at knee height, which was unexpected for ordinary people. Amon's condescending gaze collided with Yan Jin's downward gaze in the air. The latter smiled and scratched his head. Amon, why are you here? Aren't you going to invite me in? Yan Jin hesitated for a moment, untied the chain, and opened the door. You are quite cautious. Amon walked into the house. If I wasn't more cautious, I would have been swallowed up by others without leaving any residue. Yan Jin shrugged. A boy with dark blue hair brought 2 small stools, and then retreated behind Yan Jin like a guard. Amon noticed that there were a few younger children in the inner room, looking over here. He chuckled, took out a bag of candy and put it on the small table. Here, are these the 8 brothers under your command? Ahaha. Yan Jin scratched the back of her head a little embarrassedly. She noticed that the children looked at the candy with eager eyes, and waved her hand and said, Lei-yin, take the candy and take the brothers and sisters away, don't eavesdrop. Big sister. Lei-yin looked at Amon hesitantly, her eyes full of vigilance. Don't worry, he is a teacher in the academy. I know. Lei-yin picked up the candy, walked into the inner room, and closed the thick wooden door at the same time. I asked about you. It is said that you rejected the invitation of a Contra. Amon asked. Ah, that old man is Contra. I only know that he is a big shot. It seems a bit of a pity. After saying this, Yan Jin didn't look annoyed at all, and she didn't regret her choice. Because of them? Yes, if you become his disciple, you have to go to Wuhuan City. Although he promised to let the people from Xuanye City Wuhuan Palace help take care of Lei-yin and the others, I don't feel at ease. I can feel that he doesn't actually value me that much, let alone it was hard for me to believe that the people he arranged to take care of them would do their best because of me. They were too young, so I refused. That is to say, if you were the only one, would you agree to become his disciple? Are they really that important to you? For this reason, you refuse to take a broad road. You should not be related by blood. Amon straightened his glasses. It's very important, we all belong to the same village. When we encountered bandits, all the adults in the village were killed, and only a few of us were left. Their parents gave their lives to protect us. I can't leave them alone. Take care of them. When I reach adulthood, it's my responsibility. Yan Jin said seriously, so teacher, can't you really teach me? I want them to live a better life. You can't make their lives better through petty means like stealing. Amon shook his head, one mistake can make you and them miserable. Yan Jin looked at the young man in front of him, who was not much older than himself, and felt that he might have had a similar experience to himself. His proficient stealing skills must have been developed after a lot of practice, and he couldn't help but feel a little more sympathetic. Then you came to me. Are you interested in joining me? Let's go to the Pan-Continent Advanced Soul Master Academy Elite Competition together. Although I can't promise you more material help now, I can take you to a bigger stage. Amon should take action and invite. Now. Of course not. I don't have that strength now. I've wasted a lot of time and I need time to catch up. Similarly, you probably can't let go of your younger brothers and sisters. 5 years, I will stay in Frostleaf City for 5 years. By then, you will have just graduated from the Junior Soul Master Academy, and your younger brothers and sisters will be older than you are now. After settling them properly, we will go to the Senior Soul Master Academy. Then find a way to participate in the next Soul Master competition and prove yourself on that world-famous stage. In these 5 years, I will help you on your journey as a Soul Master, and I will also help take care of your younger brothers and sisters. Sounds like a good thing, what do I have to pay? Yan Jin's eyes were full of surprise and vigilance. Don't you want to worship me as your teacher? Just think of me as your teacher. I will arrange for you to do some things. Of course, this must be done if you are willing. Amon smiled slightly. Oh well. Chapter 7 Ms. Ma 1. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. In fact, there are quite a few people who want to recruit and train Yen Jin. At least several top figures in Frost Leaf City have paid some attention to her, but they are not sure about the attitude of the Soul Douluo. Is he disgusted with Yen Jin's indifference? Is he still thinking of taking her as a disciple, or has he forgotten about it? Although it is most likely the last case, they dare not bet. Even if the Soul Douluo himself will not deliberately take action for such a small matter, once he shows a little disgust, those who flatter him may cause trouble. Amon does not have this concern. First, he is alone and there are not many places where he can be targeted. In addition, he is not old now. If others extend an olive branch to Yen Jin, they may be suspected of competing with the Soul Douluo for a disciple. What he does is more of a mutual help between peers. After negotiating with Yen Jin, Amon came to the most luxurious mansion in the city. Stopping at the guard at the door, he said politely. My name is Amon, I'm an assistant teacher at the Ice Wind Junior Soul Master Academy, and I'm here to visit Ms. Ma 1. Perhaps it was his pointed hat that made him look much taller, or perhaps it was his clothes that brought a sense of mystery. The guard did not look down on Amon because of his young age, but said respectfully. Have you made an appointment in advance? If not, please wait, I need to ask for instructions. Then thank you. Amon nodded. Ma 1 is one of the 3 most powerful people in Frost Leaf City, the other 2 are the head of the Wuhuan Branch Hall and the dean of the Ice Wind Junior Soul Master Academy. One of them has the Wuhuan Hall behind him, and no one dares to provoke this behemoth, and the other is the strongest person in Frost Leaf City, a 48th level Soul Master. Ma 1 is a businessman who influences every aspect of Frost Leaf City with huge funds. As for the City Lord, Frost Leaf City does not have that kind of thing. In just 2 years, there have been 3 City Lords here. The newly appointed City Lord of the Empire is still on his way to take office. It is said that he has been on the road for half a year, and it is unknown when he will arrive. After a while, the guard came out and took him on to the reception room. I thought it was someone else. Isn't it still a child? Did Shi Guantao ask you to come? Ma 1 sat in the main seat, crossed her legs, supported her right hand on the side of her face, and said with a smile. Amon glanced at the young woman. She was wearing a tiger skin coat, her wheat-colored skin looked healthy and full of vitality, and her whole person exuded a wild beauty. No, I'm not the dean. I came to you on my own initiative. You said you were an assistant teacher at the college. Why, do you want to switch jobs and work for me? It may be a little dangerous, but the rewards are more generous. I'm very satisfied with my current job. Since you're not bringing a message to Shi Guantao, nor are you planning to change jobs, what do you want to talk to me about? I don't think there's anything for me to talk about with a kid like you. You'd better give a reasonable explanation, or I'll teach you a lesson. I don't think Shi Guantao will bother me for such a small matter. Ma 1 showed a trace of impatience on her face. I'm here to solicit investment. Ms. Ma 1, you are a businessman and should have a good business sense. Investing in a commodity can bring you profits, and investing in a person can also make you gain benefits. Investing in people. You don't want me to invest in you, do you? Then tell me what investment value you have and what kind of return you can bring to me. Ma 1's eyes became dangerous. Your speech is the same as most scammers. Don't let me be sure of this. You should know the consequences. Do you know the Pan-Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Elite Competition? Does this have anything to do with what we are going to talk about? Ma 1 had a hint of doubt on her face. Of course it is related. It is held every 5 years. I can't count on the next one, but I am sure that I can form a team to participate in the next one and get a good ranking. At that time, I will promote the Ice Thorn Chamber of Commerce, and I will work for you for 3 years after the competition. How about it? Is this what you call investment? Am I stupid enough to believe what others say? Use real money to bet on something illusory in the future. There was already a hint of murderous intent in her tone. Although I really want to say that my talent is not bad, my current state is really not convincing. Do you believe in Yen Jin? Are you willing to invest in her? Amon was not shaken by Ma Wen's murderous intention and said very calmly, in order to facilitate sponsorship, this is also the reason why Amon contacted Yan Jin. He himself is only a level 12 soul master now, and he is also 12 years old. Others don't know that his inner self has undergone earth-shaking changes. In the eyes of others, his talent can only be said to be mediocre. If he comes to lobby alone, there is a high possibility of failure, but it will be different if he is tied to Yan Jin. Yan Jin's talent is obvious to all. After being personally certified by Contra, I believe many people will consider it. Their biggest concern is Contra's attitude. As long as this influence is eliminated, there is a high possibility of attracting sponsorship. Yan Jin, are you talking about the kid who was so stupid that he refused to be recruited by Seoul Douluo? Ma Wen's anger eased a little, and he pondered, that kid is indeed worth investing in. The vision of the big shots in the spirit hall is naturally not bad. But she angered that adult because of her stubbornness. Obviously, that adult had already promised to let the people of the spirit hall of Frost Leaf City properly place the gang of kids under her. But she still couldn't let them go, refused to go to Wuhuan City, and finally angered the Seoul Douluo away. Her talent is good, but not good enough to make a Seoul Douluo willing to bring a group of burdens for her. I think no one in this Frost Leaf City can withstand the anger of a Seoul Douluo. No one dares to recruit her before confirming the attitude of that big shot. It's not recruitment, but investment. Amon raised his index finger and shook it gently. And you are investing in me, not her. It's just that she is half of my disciple, so part of your investment will also be reflected in her through me. This is different from your taking Yan Jin into the Chamber of Commerce. The other party cannot establish a too close relationship with Yan Jin, which is why Amon listed Ma Wen as the first consideration. Compared to taking in disciples, commercial investment like Ma Wen is more appropriate. It not only expresses enough goodwill to Yan Jin, but also does not make the relationship too close. Ma Wen is a little moved. Although Yan Jin often steals, he is loyal to his friends because he refuses to be recruited by Seoul Douluo. What limits the development of the Chamber of Commerce is the lack of support from reliable strong men. She has been planning to cultivate powerful soul masters close to the Chamber of Commerce for a long time, but it has been ineffective. After all, the return on investment cycle is too long and it is difficult to find a suitable target. As for seeking cooperation directly from powerful soul masters, it is hard to say who will be in control at that time. She will inevitably lose a lot of autonomy. She does not want the Chamber of Commerce she has worked so hard to build to belong to others. She had previously considered how to directly absorb Yan Jin into the Chamber of Commerce, but gave up because of concerns about Seoul Douluo. Amon's proposal brought another safer form. It is also certain what the attitude of the Seoul Douluo will be in 8 years, and the risks during this period will be borne by Amon. Although Yan Jin did not directly join the Chamber of Commerce in this way and his relationship with the Chamber of Commerce is not so close, it is safer. Will she be willing to go with you? Ma Wen asked. Amon nodded slightly and said. She has agreed. She rejected the Seoul Douluo before because her brothers were too young, so she was worried. I will stay here until she graduates from the Ice Wind Junior Soul Master Academy. By then, the youngest of the people who make her worried will be 8 or 9 years old, older than she is now. If you are willing to take care of those children during the time we are away, what else can she worry about? Yan Jin is better than you think. Her talent is not only reflected in the cultivation of soul power, but also in combat. She is also a genius. With amazing combat intuition, self-taught soul power application skills, good training speed, and my planning and guidance, she is destined to become a powerful soul master. I will take her to join the Northern Advanced Soul Master Academy, and then participate in the Advanced Soul Master Academy Elite Competition. If we don't qualify to join the Advanced Soul Master Academy in 5 years, we will be your subordinates and sell you the rest of our lives. How about that? I have to say, your words moved me. Ma Wen put down her crossed legs and changed to a more upright sitting posture, with some solemnity in her dark brown pupils. Then what specific investment method do you want to talk about? Amon said the plan he had prepared long ago. When we are in the Junior Soul Master Academy, give us 500 gold soul coins every year, and when we go to the Advanced Soul Master Academy, 2,000 gold soul coins every year. When Yan Jin and I get the first and second ring soul rings, the Ice Thorn Chamber of Commerce needs to provide help. Also arrange a house for us next to the academy. When we leave Frostleaf City to study at the Advanced Soul Master Academy in 5 years, you have to take good care of Yan Jin's brothers and sisters. Of course, the return after 8 years is a bit too late, so we will also give some feedback during this period. I remember the Chamber of Commerce has something to do with clothing. Let's put it this way. Except for occasions where school uniforms are required, you will arrange Yan Jin's clothing. You can print the Chamber of Commerce logo on her clothes. In addition, the school sometimes organizes some competitions, and you can let her wear the new style of clothes you want to launch on such occasions. Or to be more direct, print advertising patterns of other products on her clothes. Amon paused and continued, according to Yan Jin's personality, she will always attract attention no matter where she is. As long as she is good enough, there will be no worries that no one will notice the advertisements on her clothes. In addition, if this form of advertising brings good results, you also need to give us extra compensation. It's a very creative idea. Your idea alone is of great value. As a shrewd businessman, Mawen immediately grasped the key points. She smiled and said, "Then it's settled. In addition, bring Yan Jin, the kid, to meet me tonight, and don't let others know." Happy cooperation. Amon raised his right hand and pinched his monocle. Chapter 8 Clone. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. After Amon brought Yan Jin to negotiate with Ma Wen, the latter delivered this year's 500 gold soul coins on the spot and threw the key to a property next to the Ice Wind Junior Soul Master Academy to Amon. After leaving Thorn Manor, Yan Jin picked up Lei Yin and others. Compared to the chaotic and dangerous places on West Street, the place next to the academy was obviously much safer. Are we going to live here from now on? Lei Yin was still in disbelief and looked at Yan Jin worriedly. Sister, what have you done, that he knows that there is no free lunch in the world? To get so much, there must be a corresponding price. Ah, it's nothing, I just might need to work for Ma Wen in the future. Ma Wen? That Ms. Ma Wen? Lei Yin was shocked. We all know that her industry involves many dangerous areas, and you may die if you work for her. Return the money quickly, sister, we can't let you take such a big risk. Yan Jin rolled his eyes. Do you think it's too late to retreat now? If you want to go back on the agreement you made with Ma Wen, I'm afraid there will be a few more hanging corpses on the bacon tree outside the city tomorrow. The bacon tree is a big tree not far from the entrance of Frostleaf City. People often find corpses inexplicably growing on the tree in the early morning, hanging like bacon. Anyone who knows the inside story knows that this is the work of the Ice Thorn Chamber of Commerce, and that Ma Wen is intimidating those who dare to offend her. Don't worry, I won't work for her right away, but later. What we get now can be regarded as her investment in us, or it can also be regarded as an alternative student loan. Besides, I don't necessarily need to work for her in the future. It may be a cooperation. It depends on the height I can reach by then. Besides, you will all wear this kind of clothes when you go out in the future. Yan Jin threw the clothes provided by the Ice Thorn Chamber of Commerce to Lei Yin. This is the work uniform of the Ice Thorn Chamber of Commerce that Yan Jin asked Ma Wen for in addition to the clothes she had to wear according to the terms of the contract. This is also a guarantee for the safety of the younger brothers and sisters. In Frostleaf City, few people dare to provoke the Ice Thorn Chamber of Commerce. After appeasing Lei Yin, Yan Jin put on a pair of black clothes provided by the Chamber of Commerce, moved his arms, and muttered. Do I have to wear clothes like this all the time from now on? Amon smiled and said, although this may affect you in dressing up in your favorite clothes in front of your classmates, thinking on the bright side, having free clothes to wear is not a bad thing. No, I don't care about dressing up. It's just that a few women's clothes are a bit cumbersome and not conducive to movement during a fight. But why don't you wear the clothes of the Ice Thorn Chamber of Commerce? Because I'm not as noticeable as you. For example, in our school, not many seniors know me as a teaching assistant, but everyone knows the famous Yen Jin. Amon had a smile on his face. Oh, is that so? Yen Jin said with a trace of suspicion on his face, you should give me my share. Amon handed 100 gold soul coins to Yen Jin, the latter whispered softly, why not share it equally? Is this an investment for the two of us? Because this is the sponsorship I got. Amon explained, and I will also provide you with guidance on the path of a soul master. In fact, most of the 500 gold soul coins were invested by Ma Wen because of Yen Jin's talent, and Amon was just incidental. Her willingness to deliver it on the spot was also out of recognition for Yen Jin. The essence of this transaction is that Amon is selling the possibility of Rock Ash's future, but Yen Jin herself didn't know. She only knew that Amon had obtained many favorable conditions for them during the negotiations. Okay, that's reasonable. Yen Jin nodded and agreed to this distribution, and felt that the Amon people were quite good. The house Ma Wen lent them was quite large and had a yard. Amon chose a room on the east side. He ran to the school dormitory and took out his belongings. Returning to his residence, Amon closed the door, and 2 streams of light flew out of his body, transforming into 2 teenagers who looked exactly like him. After this period of exploration, he also had a deeper understanding of the characteristics of his martial soul. Of course, the insect of time spirit is not as weird and powerful as the real insect of time, but it only possesses some of its abilities. The process of splitting is essentially the distribution of souls and soul power. Amon inherited the ability to use extraordinary power from the mysterious Amon clone, so he could sense subtle changes in his own soul. This half-month experiment was enough for him to conduct a quantitative analysis of the recovery and completion progress of his soul. Set your original complete soul as a standard unit of soul, and set your original complete state's cultivation speed to the cultivation speed of the innate full soul power. A 10% soul share is approximately equal to the innate first-level cultivation talent. Regardless of whether it is the main body or the clone, the soul is slowly being completed. The more copies are allocated to the clone, the faster the soul is completed. He roughly estimated that for a body with 85% of the soul, it would take about a year to replenish 10% of the soul. For a clone with 10% of the soul, it would take far longer than a year to replenish 10% of the soul. As for the other clone with only half of the soul, it would take even longer. However, the completion efficiency of a clone with 10% soul share is not as good as the sum of 2 clones with half a soul share. For Amon as a whole, the greater the number of split-time clones, the faster the overall soul growth rate. Amon cannot create time clones indefinitely, because in order to carry a complete consciousness, a half-complete soul is required at least. In addition, the smallest soul power level unit of the clone is also half a level. If it is lower, it cannot manifest a body and cannot practice independently. With a thought, he split another clone with a half-complete soul and half-level soul power. The clone with 10% soul and first-level soul power that was originally used for comparison was also split into 2 half-level ones. With the splitting of the time worm, the soul power level of his original body was also reduced to level 11. Splitting 4 half-level clones is his current limit. In addition, he is not going to reduce the soul of the original body to less than 80%, which will cause the original body to practice too slowly. He needs to ensure that the cultivation speed of the original body remains at a certain level. Otherwise, if his own soul power level is too low, he will not even be qualified to participate in the plot, let alone gain benefits from it. Amon has his own small goal to become a god faster than Tang San. Before Tang San became a god, the Douluo continent received relatively little interference from the high-level gods. When he became a god, the rule that gods should not interfere with the lower world without reason would be meaningless. Condensing a pair of monocles and wearing them on his right eye, the 4 clones Amon focused on the borrowed books and began to study. One Amon suddenly laughed. He remembered his childhood dream, or wish, before he crossed over. When he was in school, he always hoped to have a few clones to help him with homework and classes. Now, this wish seems to have come true. The clones are only half-level and have poor cultivation talents, but they are very suitable for learning. They can directly transmit what they have learned to the main body through consciousness synchronization, thus saving a lot of time. The main body Amon sat on the bed to practice soul power. Amon entered into meditation skillfully, and he felt as if he was in the void. There were light spots floating around him, and as his mental power diverged, the light spots kept moving closer to him. Chapter 9 The Amons. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Amon sat cross-legged on the bed, the free energy continued to gather. When the soul power scattered in the surrounding space entered his body, layers of whispers suddenly appeared in his mind. These whispers were soft but dense, and they became louder and louder as time went by, becoming hoarse and low, with a hint of madness in the horror. He learned from others that although they felt bored when meditating, the process of absorbing free energy would make the body feel warm. If they could endure the loneliness, it would be a kind of enjoyment. Amon's meditation process could be called torture. Even if it would not make him crazy or cause his spirit to be polluted, it was irritating. He guessed that this should be due to his own martial soul, which came from the mysterious world and brought the chaotic and disordered characteristics of the underlying logic of the mysterious world. It was not only bad. This kind of polluting madness affected his soul power, making his soul power cold and evil. This cold, evil, and crazy nature is nothing to Amon, who is used to it, but once it causes harm to others, the soul power will invade and affect their spirit for a short time. Those with weak minds may even suffer permanent mental weakness. In the past half-month, Amon has read a lot of books about politics, sect power, local customs, and people's customs, and has a better understanding of this world. Next, he plans to learn about soul beasts. To obtain a suitable soul ring, it is essential to understand soul beasts. While learning, the clones will mark the soul beasts that may be suitable for them and keep records. I found a very interesting soul beast. And Amon took the book and showed the page he saw to others. Slime. Yes, this kind of soul beast can multiply by self-division, similar to us. Should we consider making it the target of our next soul ring? No need. If multiple slimes can improve the soul power level after merging and become a stronger whole, it will be a good choice, but it can only split, which is not very meaningful. Each Amon has a different personality and thinks about problems from different angles. There is a possibility of discussion and communication between Amon, and sparks of ideas in the communication. For the general direction of each soul skill in the future, didn't the main body have a plan before we split out? All we need to do is find a soul beast that meets the requirements. As for the different opinions, let's leave it until we cultivate Yen Jin. The Amons ended the discussion. The decision made by the main body before the split was equivalent to the result of the Amon referendum, which was higher than any single Amon's will. In the living room, Yen Jin sat on a chair, Lei Yin and the other 7 children sat on a bench, sitting in 2 rows in front of her. Looking at Yen Jin's serious face, the joy of several children moving into their new home gradually faded, and they began to feel uneasy. I have something very important to tell you. Yen Jin spoke slowly. Just today, Amon led me to reach an agreement with Ma Wen. When the children heard the name Ma Wen, they were in a commotion. They knew the weight of this name in Shuangye City and knew that it was a big shot that must not be provoked. Amon and I accepted Ma Wen's investment together. We need to enter the Advanced Soul Master Academy in 5 years, and then we must qualify to participate in the Pan-Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Elite Competition. If everything goes well, I will work for her or become her partner in 8 years. Lei Yin opened his mouth, but did not speak, and listened to her statement quietly. This means that I have to leave Shuangye City in 5 years. You need to mature in these 5 years and at least be able to survive on your own. Otherwise, I can't leave at ease at that time. Sister, you have done enough for us. We can't drag you down anymore. A slightly plump girl next to Lei Yin said. What Mo Lei said is right. We can't be an obstacle to your progress. 5 years later, the youngest among us will be 9 years old, 2 years older than you are now. If we still need to rely on you by then, it will be useless. Another person nodded. Yen Jin scanned the crowd with her dark red eyes and said, Lei Yin, do you have anything to say? Lei Yin pondered for a while and asked, is Ma Wen really trustworthy? Didn't we see people who cooperated with the Ice Thorn Chamber of Commerce in West Street before, but in the end they were squeezed out of the last bit of value and could only lie in the stinking ditch and wait for death? His words reminded the children of the man who had broken his limbs, covered in blood, and groaned helplessly in the stinking ditch. Don't you worry about this, I'll take care of it. Yan Jin also had some hidden worries in her heart, but she would not show them, as that would only add to the children's troubles. Anyway, I have to leave in 5 years, and you will have to live on your own for more than 3 years until I come back from the Soul Master competition. But don't worry too much, Ma1 will also take care of you to a certain extent in these 3 years. Okay, don't worry about it anymore. The important thing now is that we have money. Let's go shopping tomorrow, and you can buy whatever you want to eat. Yan Jin stood up and announced. Oh, the children all cheered, full of expectations for tomorrow. In the dark shadows, 2 sturdy and burly men stood under the tree, looking at the house where Yan Jin lived. Of course, Ma1 would not be so confident to directly pay the outstanding amount without any insurance. Few people dared to deceive her, but there were some. Every year, she would hang a few liars who were blinded by greed on the bacon tree. She sent people to monitor him. If Amon wanted to leave Frostleaf City in the next few days, she would hunt him down immediately. After all, according to the agreement, he would stay in Frostleaf City until Yan Jin graduated. If he left early, it could be basically concluded that he had cheated the money and wanted to run away. The wind blew the leaves, making a rustling sound. Hearing the faint cheers coming from the house, one of them nodded. It seems that they have no intention of escaping immediately. It's better to be cautious and monitor for a few more nights. After all, that's a lot of money. I don't think anyone in Frostleaf City dares to deceive Master Ma1, but we can't make any mistakes, otherwise we will be in trouble. The key is that man named Amon. Yan Jin and those little ghosts can't get away. Soul Masters are so good. They can get such a large sum of money from Master Ma1 just by talking. We can't get it even if we work hard for several years. One of them, who was wearing dark blue clothes and had a little finger missing on his left hand, said with a bit of greed and jealousy. Walsh, don't have any bad ideas. You should know what money you can't touch. And that's the Master Soul Master. Even a little ghost like Yan Jin who has the qualifications of a Soul Master can do well in the slums. The real Soul Master is not something we can deal with. The most important thing is that this is Master Ma1's investment money. I know. Walsh replied perfunctorily. He closed his eyes slightly to hide the greed in them. Chapter 10 Self-Created Soul Skills. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Ho, ha, Yan Jin held her position for a long time, then punched out. The tip of her fist was filled with magma created by her martial spirit. The magma slowly flew forward 2 meters before falling to the ground, burning the dust and making a sizzling sound. Oh, no, Amon, you can't shoot the magma like an arrow. Yan Jin was practicing the use of martial arts under Amon's guidance, but the progress was not satisfactory. She said with some frustration, in the research and application of martial arts, imagination is also a very important part. What Amon lacks most is all kinds of wild ideas. He provided Yan Jin with several feasible development ideas, but it was a bit difficult to implement them. Magma belongs to the weapon soul. Weapon spirit, as the name suggests, means instrument. The most obvious feature of this type of spirit is that it can be used as a tool. Knives, swords, hammers, etc. are typical representatives. However, although weapons such as magma have entities, they cannot be held and are difficult to use. There are great restrictions on the use and development of martial spirits, and it is difficult to bring out the characteristics of their weapons. In comparison, beast spirits with elemental characteristics seem to have more advantages. Amon guessed that this was also the reason why Contra didn't pay too much attention to Yan Jin. He pinched his monocle and chuckled. That's because your soul control level is not up to par. Improving the level of soul power control sounds easy, but in reality it's not that easy. Yan Jin said with a frown. This isn't difficult. As he spoke, Amon stretched out his right index finger and thumb, making a gesture of raising a gun. With the sound of Bayou, a small hole exploded in the trunk of a tree not far away. Air bullet is a soul power application technique developed by Amon in order to make up for the lack of attack power in his soul skills. It can be regarded as a small self-created soul skill. The principle is to use soul power to compress and wrap the air, and then launch it. After the soul power bullet hits the impact, the stable structure of the soul power film wrapped on the surface will be broken, and the air inside will burst out, forming an impact. It sounds very simple, but in fact it is very difficult. This requires extremely high levels of control. Amon's first soul ring has the passive effect of improving his soul power control, and the skills provided by the soul bone that can materialize his soul power also make it easier to control his soul power. Isn't my air bullet much harder than using your soul power to blast out the magma created by your martial soul? Looking at the wounds on the tree trunk, Yan Jin's eyes narrowed. The destructive power caused by the move just now was actually not that big. Unless the head, neck, heart and other vital parts were hit, the person probably wouldn't have died, but the key is that Amon's attack is very fast, and the movement is very small, almost undetectable, and it is a long-range attack. She has strong intuition in combat and is keenly aware of the practical value of air bullets. What surprised her even more was that Amon did not show his martial soul or soul ring when he launched the attack, indicating that this was a self-created soul skill. Having received 1 year of basic soul master education and having tried it herself, she clearly knew how difficult it was to create her own soul skills. What she didn't know was that even if Amon used martial arts and soul rings, she could not detect it. His first soul skill could cover up the external performance of the soul skill when it was activated. "Teacher, can you teach me this trick?" Yan Jin's voice suddenly became extremely gentle and sweet. "Okay, you've already called me teacher, how can I refuse?" Amon told her the principle of air bullets. 3 minutes later, the excitement on Yan Jin's face faded, and he asked with a dull expression, "Amon, is this possible for a human to do?" Not to mention firing out the air bullet to cause damage, she couldn't even use her soul power to gather and compress the air. "It's okay, teacher." "Amon, hey, little brat." Amon muttered in his heart. "The suggestions I gave you on how to use martial souls are all feasible. It's just that your control is not up to par. What you need to do is to calm down and practice hard. Air bullet is still too difficult for you. But lava bomb is relatively simple." With the example before his eyes, Yan Jin regained his fighting spirit. While teaching Yan Jin, Amon did not leave behind his own training. In fact, the person interacting with Yan Jin now is just a time clone of his, and he usually uses this clone that is closest to his original personality in class. Amon's true body and 3 other clones have been in the room given by Ma Wan. The 3 clones are learning knowledge, while the true body is concentrating on soul power cultivation. There is a spiritual connection between his clone and the main body. Information can be exchanged at any time within 1,000 meters. The connection will weaken after 1,000 meters. If the distance is too far, mutual perception will be weakened to close to nothing, and only life and death and general directions can be sensed. "You are here. Dean sure asked you to come over." Lu Wensong glanced at Yan Jin, who was humming and ha-ha-ha in the open space, and said to Amon, who was lying on the grass and leaning against the tree trunk. Amon put his right hand on the ground and stood up. "I'll be there right away." Shi Guantao was not in the office. When Amon saw him, he was standing on the roof of the teaching building, looking down, and the wind blowing from the south blew his robes. He turned his back to Amon and said without looking back, "You moved out of the academy?" "Yes, I live not far from the college now, just a few steps away. That's Ma Wen's property. Lent it to me for now." Shi Guantao shook his head. "That woman is not a good person. If you think the salary of the academy is low and want to leave, I respect your personal wishes." Amon chuckled and said, "No, I am very satisfied with the life in the academy. I don't have too close contact with her and will not bring trouble to the academy. I just got a student loan from her." "Student loan?" "I used my promise to cooperate with her in the future in exchange for her investment. Maybe I will become a member of the Ice Thorn Chamber of Commerce in the future, but now I am just a student who dreams of stepping onto the stage of the Advanced Soul Master Academy Elite Competition." Advanced Soul Master Academy Elite Competition? Shi Guantao was slightly moved. He knew the difficulties. It's a great goal. I wish you can achieve it. But one thing is that the academy is a place for teaching and educating people. I don't want to bring the outside world here. This academy is my life's work. If anyone wants to destroy the peace in the academy, I will never let them go. A powerful soul force burst out, and the aura of the soul master was revealed. Amon felt a little chest tightness, he took a deep breath, and whispered, I also cherish this peace. Shi Guantao nodded and encouraged, then you work hard. If you can reach level 20 before the age of 18, I will write you a letter of recommendation to the Northland Advanced Soul Master Academy. The Northland Advanced Soul Master Academy is the first institution of higher learning in the Northland province. The conditions for entering are relatively harsh. Generally, only outstanding graduates from lower-level Soul Master Academies can enter. I will work hard, thank you for your help. Amon's mouth corners slightly raised, revealing a hint of smile.